What's up guys, Mr. Basie here, and today we're doing some more Seduce Me 2 The Demon War. Now, it's been way too long. I mean, we spent quite a long time off this game, which I actually have been really missing. It was a little bit remedied by Remember, which is another game that was made by Michaela Laws, who created this game, along with someone else for the, for Remember. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait till that comes out. But of course, by the time that comes out, probably we'll be done with this. And maybe even move on to one of her other games or some other, Atome games or even just visual novels in general. Because I really, I don't know, I kind of like these. Like, whenever I sit down to do one of these, I'm really excited to do it. So, let's just jump right into it and do exactly what you guys told me to do, which is hug him. Because otherwise, you get some really, according to you, really fucked up endings. So I'm not trying to get that. We'll see it eventually. But I'm trying to go as a clean sweep and just get the good ending right off the bat. So let's go ahead and do it. I felt terrible for Matthew. He definitely acted like a kid, but it seemed like only I remembered that he wasn't one. Oh, that's right, he was dealing with some struggles. After all, I had been with this man for over 2 years of my life. I wrapped my arms around him, hugged me to him, and making him gasp in surprise.
Uh-huh?
I buried my face in his shoulder, silently apologizing to him with a soft kiss on his neck. Slowly, Matthew wrapped his arms around me as well, taking in a breath and relaxing once more within my arms. A peaceful moment of silence passed between us before Matthew softly pulled away and looked me in the eyes.
I don't understand why you like me at all, you know?
What? We more than like you, my dude. Come on now. What? I mean, come on, those freaking nips. Confused, I stared into Matthew's eyes, trying to find the origin of where his statement came from. Matthew, however, took my hands and grasped them in his, looking down at them.
I love you so much. But I'm not mature like James or the others. I don't understand at all how someone like me could be remotely likable.
What do you mean? Stop. I glared, not wanting him to degrade himself. As he looked back up at me, he flinched at my stare, but I needed to get him to see that I loved him and cared for him for every part of him. Oh my. It didn't matter that he wasn't like his brothers. He was mine and I loved him. I squeezed his hands, hopefully not breaking them, locking his gaze to mine, because Lisa's quite powerful. I love you for you, Matthew. I don't care what your brothers act like or how you're not like them. I don't care. I fell in love with you, not them. Damn. Setting it straight. Matthew remained silent, staring deep into my eyes and taking in everything that I was saying with a broken, but hopeful gaze. He really cared about me and didn't want to hurt me, but I didn't want him to hurt either. Whatever this is, whatever thing is trying to control you, we'll fix this. But don't you dare degrade yourself like that. And we'll just go ahead and kiss him, because what the press my forehead to his, what the fuck? Well, I think kissing is much better. At last, I leaned forward and pressed my lips to his, locking his to mine in a loving kiss. Matthew stared wide-eyed before very slowly closing his eyes and melting into the lip lock. I wanted to show him how strong and wonderful he was. I fell in love with him, not just for his childish side, but how he made me feel every part of him. What? He was very much an adult, but I was locked in his arms and I drowned in his kisses constantly. I was so lucky to have him as mine, and I wanted to remind him of that with every part of me, mind, body, and soul. I slowly slid my legs over his lap. And you know what? I didn't even need to hear the music. As that one little statement right there, I knew where this was going. Straddling his hips. And making the kiss between us deeper. I guess there's no other way to show that he's mature by doing this, right? Shit. We're relishing in the feelings that were burning between us. Matthew slowly drew his hands up my sides and wrapped them around me, hugging me to his chest almost possessively. Well, and making me gasp against his lips. I was getting the idea, and I was happy that my message was clear enough to understand. I don't know how it wouldn't be, shit. He was mine and I was his. We would support and hold on to each other forever, and nothing would separate us. My clothes were slowly stripped off my body. Scandalous. Matthew taking his time in looking at every inch of my body as I became exposed. Oh my goodness. I would shyly show him, but happily allow him to indulge and ravish me as he desired if he craved it. What? My goodness. This is so colorful. A flash of gold passed over his eyes as he finally grasped the back of my neck and kissed me passionately. I couldn't help but moan against his lips, feeling his free hand dance around each curve of my body as his enthrallment slowly eased itself into my core, warming my soul in love and need. Whoa! Dude, this is pretty cool. Dang. Are you sweating already? It's like a little drops. Like, I know it's shine, but it looks like sweat. It's like, damn, dude, you sweating already, man. I couldn't stop myself from grinding against my incubus, needing him to undress himself and let us make love like I desired. like we both desired. Matthew slightly smirked against my lips before turning us over and staring at me.
You're so beautiful. You know that?
Well, I felt my body warm at his words, making me distracted as Matthew began to run his hands all over my body like fucking octopus, like fucking leaving no inch of skin unexplored. See? I'm telling you. And unconquered. What? By his fingers or lips. What? Well, think about that for a second. I arched back, pressing my head back to the pillows beneath my head, and let out a loving sigh and moan with each pleasureful touch he placed on me. This was truly heaven. I was so lost that I barely noticed him stripping as well and hovering over me. How do you just what? You don't notice that? What? Finally allowing us to become one. Alright, well, he's in. As we did, the world around me became lost. I could only see Matthew, and he could only see me. I hope you don't see other people. Shit, people just staring like, damn, that kid's got some skills. We would become lost in each other's eyes as we wrapped each other in pleasure and love, climbing through our carnal ecstasy and chanting each other's name like two prayers in sweet harmony. My hands guided themselves around Matthew's body, feeling the slight sweat. I knew it! Layered over his soft skin as I dragged my nails over his back, hopefully not too hard. From the pleasureful hiss that erupted from him, I could tell that he enjoyed that and would pay back in kind. Oh my goodness. Our lovemaking soon became rapid and heated. Dang, he's just pounding it out. Unrelenting in its crescendo towards a beautiful and hot climax. We drove through it together, uncaring of who would hear our cries and screams of love before slowly easing into a gentle and feather-like afterglow. That's great. That's fantastic. Matthew and I held on to each other, lost within the embrace between us, and euphoric in our emotions. I was so happy to have him in my arms, causing me to pull him closer to me and cuddle against him. Matthew laughed a bit before kissing me softly and nuzzling my forehead with his. Oh, I love you, Matthew.
I love you too.
Oh, man. We remained there, taking in the sounds of our synchronized breathing and letting our hearts eventually beat as one. That actually sounds kind of cool. We would get through this. We would. Alright, sleeping that night filled us with determination. Like ever since Undertale, dude, I can't. For the next day. I was hopeful, rooting that everything was going to be alright. Of course, not everything turns out the way we want. Damn it. We have another shit dream? Oh, never mind. The morning came at last, rising me from my sleep. Surprisingly, I was full of energy, ready to go and take on the day's training. However, I quickly realized that I was alone. Every time. Is any of the dudes, I'm like somebody, hopefully Diana, at least. Like, just don't leave us in bed after that. That's bull. I sat up and looked around, not seeing anyone anywhere in the room. Oh, not seeing him anywhere in the room. Worry crept into my mind. What if he left to do something he was influenced to do? What if he tried to figure out a way to force the influence out of him? I gripped my bedsheet to remove it from my body when I looked up to see okay. I was like, wait. I was reading that, I was like, I gripped my bedsheet to remove it from my body, and what I'm imagining is her lifting it up, and I was like, scandalous. When I looked up to see the door swing open, revealing Matthew holding 2 plates of food for me.
Good morning!
Well, that's nice. See, it's nothing bad, it's just hopefully not pancakes again. I became dumbstruck. Matthew, what was up with him and why he was so up so early? I can't read today. He wasn't exactly an early bird. Matthew grinned as he walked over and presented a plate of delicious-looking, fruit, eggs, bacon, toast, and pancakes. I like pancakes, but every day, man, I hadn't ever seen. My mouth went agape, what the fuck, at the mere sight and smell, and I slowly took it from Matthew's hands. You should never use, even if there's an A in there, you should never use this word with mouth. It's just wrong. It's a weird combo, just saying. When did you make this?
This morning, duh. When else would I have
How
been able
early?
to make
Shit.
it?
I know you don't have to make the fruit or nothing, but the bacon, the pancakes, and the toast? I looked up at him. He seemed very happy and cheerful, despite everything that happened the night before. You had sex. Why would he not be happy and cheerful? Did he manage to drive out the influence? As I noticed the dark circles under his eyes, I could tell that the night had become somewhat of a struggle, so maybe that was indeed the case. Still, something in my gut pressed me to be cautious. Something wasn't entirely right about the situation, even though seeing Matthew being happy made me happy too. I slowly began to dig in, savoring every delicious bite and almost forgetting my worries about it. Wow, this is amazing. Matthew let out a happy sigh and nodded.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go to training now.
Damn, you got no sleep. I suddenly shook my head trying to take in what he just said. He was going to training now? I looked at him as he began to turn around, holding out an arm for him. Whoa, hold it there, buddy.
Bye.
Shit! Despite my protest, Matthew left the room, practically skipping out of it. What the hell? Something was now definitely wrong. I lowered my plate and stood, racing towards the door, but was stopped by Diana, who was about to step in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my god, how did we get scared that easy? Diana looked me up and down before looking at the plate of food I had left on my bed and looking at the plates of food she had in her hand. Obviously meant for me and Matthew.
When did you...
It wasn't me, dude. I'm sorry. I'll eat it too, okay? I shook my head. Diana didn't know. I'll put it in like a little doggy bag. I'll take it to lunch. Diana didn't know Matthew was making me food. I became more and more worried. Diana stepped in and placed her plates on the nearby table, crossing her arms in concern.
All right. Do you now wish to tell me what is going on?
What if he just tried to be a nice guy and make us some breakfast? I mean, people do that. I naturally bit my lip. I couldn't tell her, but something about this warning me that whatever was influencing Matthew could have gotten worse. I began to internally panic, but I kept a look of calm on my face. Matthew just made me breakfast, that's all.
When was this?
I grimaced, looking away. Just say in the morning. Apparently this morning. Dinah shook her head and pressed her fingers into her temples, slowly exhaling an irritated sigh.
That boy is seriously concerning me now.
Do people just not make breakfast for each other where you come from? What the fuck? Alright, we gotta go. Okay, look, as far from what I've, encountered in the past when it came to Eric, you have to just absolutely defend him at every chance, like every chance. So let's say don't call him a boy, because that's technically defending him. I didn't mean to explode, but after hearing Matthew's worries the night before, I couldn't help but naturally defend him. Dinah stared wide-eyed at me, most likely wondering where my sudden outburst came from. Even though I had vocally challenged her, Dinah let out a sigh and crossed her arms.
Regardless, I'll have people watch over him. If he does anything out of the ordinary, I will be the first to know.
It was kind of an unimportant comment, but we gotta do it. Dinah gave me a hard stare for a moment before turning and leaving the room. I became torn. Matthew didn't want help, but it seemed like he very much needed it. What if this was all something I was overreacting from? What if he was hiding something vitally important? I gripped my head and shook it. Stop it. Calm down. That's right, I had to calm down first. This wasn't going to be easy, but the truth would come out one way or the other. This is not a good... Did I choose to not tell anybody? Or did the game force me to do that? Because I don't think this is a good decision. I ate my food and prepared for the day, praying that I would not hear of Matthew killing someone. Aren't you guys training by yourselves? As I walked to the Grand Hall to meet with Faye, to meet with them for my training, my mind slowly began to trickle in memories of the day before. What was up with Dinah and what was up with her aura? She seemed normal so far, but remembering that the sight of her in angry flames made me a bit worried. What was she planning on doing and where was she going to do? Or where was she going to go? I finally reached the Grand Hall, seeing Faye holding a strangely woven basket of sorts. Peeking from the top was an intricate-looking bottle, and I could faintly catch the sight of some items wrapped in green leaves. This is a picnic. I'm supposed to be training Faye. I appreciate you bringing me lunch. I really do, but... Were we going somewhere? I tilted my head at Faye and walked towards them. What's the basket for?
Well, we gotta have food if we're gonna go out today, right?
Alright. Well, I'm liking where this is going. Huh? Where are we going? I thought we had to train. However, the new look on Faye's face proved that today was not going to be about practicing anything.
I wanna take you somewhere outside the castle. We'll be in a safe place, I promise. Wanna come?
I mean, I guess I don't have a choice, right? You made the food already. I would be an asshole to say no now. Warnings about leaving the castle entered my mind. I mean, she's pretty powerful, right? She got that fucking vine thing. Reminding me of Diana's heavy suggestion the day I had arrived in the demon world. Did I really want to leave the castle now? Sure. I mean, when we went out last time, Sergeant was training with all his dudes. I mean, I got scared, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to get like shit on. But Sergeant's out there with all the soldiers. I'm sure we'll be okay. It's not that far, right? Thinking about it, the week had been pretty stressful. Maybe it was time for a break. A day wasn't going to hurt us, right? Maybe we'll find Matthew out there. Right. I nodded with a smile, making Faye grin back at me before taking my hand and leading me out into the hall. They guided me through the castle to the front gate, then released my hand to fly high into the air.
Come on!
Oh, that's right, I gotta do that shit. I stared up at the open sky before taking a breath and nodding. I jolted my hands towards the ground and went up into the air. Faye cheered silently before flying out over the forest, causing me to follow suit. This is so cool. What? This is great. The journey forward continued for almost a half an hour before we arrived at a large mountain cliffside. Faye landed on it and set down their basket before opening a large sheet. Wait, what? Almost a half hour? We are far away. Faye landed on it and set down their basket before opening a large sheet and draping it over the side of the cliff. You couldn't have just moved back a bit? Shit. This was indeed a picnic. It's a panic picnic. I landed by the cloth before stepping over it and sitting down, letting my feet dangle over the edge. We were pretty high up and the sight was gorgeous, but I was pretty sure we were safe as long as we didn't do something stupid. I mean, you can fly, so I'm sure it's not that big of a deal. Faye followed suit and sat near me, pulling up the basket of their goodies between our hips. They reached into it and pulled out 2 small packages, both wrapped in large leaves and held together with twine.
Here, made it myself.
It better not be more leaves inside that leaf packet. Faye handed one to me and began to open theirs up, allowing me to look down and observe what I had been given. It was light like a sandwich, so I expected it to be such. Unwrapping it was easy enough with a simple tug. As the leaf opened, I stared at what was inside. It was a sandwich-sized block of what looked like bread, peppered with little spots of green veggies and seeds of different kinds. I was intrigued just looking at it. What is this?
Good.
Okay. I stared for a bit before shaking off a piece of it, or breaking off a piece of it to taste. It broke off rather easily, revealing a soft and steamy warm center. What? It became even more interesting to me as I lifted the piece to my lips and took a bite. I expected it to taste somewhat exotic or wild and crazy. I was completely incorrect. It was just shit. Bread. It tasted like bread. Fresh bread, but still bread. Well, at least it's, it's not poop. I chewed a bit and, that's just what you have to do, right? If you don't get, like, the kind of food you want, you say to yourself, in your mind, at least it's not poop. Because it could be poop, but it's not. Accepting that my expectations were cruelly deceived before looking to Faye and seeing them practically chow down on their bread block. They seemed to enjoy it a lot. Was I missing something? I took another bite and tasted it again. There a bit more taste the second time as the taste of the seeds popped out onto my taste buds, but it wasn't anything truly marvelous. Maybe it was enough for a demon. Faye finished their bread before grinning at me, crumbs decorating their lips and cheeks before they licked it all away with their tongue. I took another bite of my bread before looking out to the forests before us. This is a pretty nice place.
Yeah, this place is pretty nice. I come here and eat all the time.
Oh, that's nice. Really?
Uh-huh. I really don't like the food they make at the castle, especially the stew. Blech.
I tilted my head, vaguely remembering being offered stew the day before I came into this world. What was wrong with it? What's wrong with the stew? Faye looked over at me and gasped. Their face slightly turned green despite the surprise fear in their eyes.
You didn't eat it, did you?
What? Is that shit? Like, what the fuck? Well, no, but... Faye let out a relieved sigh, placing their hand on their chest. I'm questioning it. I'm not leaving it alone. Now I was insanely curious. What was wrong with the stew? I turned to Faye and leaned in, catching their gaze, making them stare back at me. Faye, what is in that stew? Faye. Faye shut their eyes before covering their head, curling into themselves.
It's him! Pig fun him!
Oh shit! Like straight up, like just the dude you kill on the battlefield. You just pick him up and use him as food, huh? Damn. Alright then. I stared, taking it in. Pig fawn imp? Then I remembered the Demon Lord's henchman from the vision the boy showed me when we met. The Demon Lord had a servant that looked like a pig fawn. According to Diana, the Demon Lord had imps, so the servant had to be one. On top of that, one apparently had snuck into the castle to electrocute Diana the first day I came. Did she kill him and stick him in a stew? Did I almost eat a demon? My stomach felt suddenly queasy as I covered my mouth and took in a heavy breath in realization. I was now incredibly grateful Diana had stopped me.
I am so sorry. At least you didn't eat it, right?
I guess, yeah. I nodded, shaking out my nerves and calming down. Thank God I didn't eat it. You just see like a fucking eyeball float to the top. It's freaking gross. Faye let out a sigh and leaned back on their arms, looking up at the sky above us.
You know, for a human, you are pretty good with magic.
Thanks. I looked over at them and tilted my head. Where was this coming from? Faye, I only really know 2 spells.
So, there are some demons who only know 1 spell. You know 2! That's better than 1, right?
Well, look at you with the optimism. I was surprised, but I nodded. There were demons like that? Damn, we're just friggin' discriminating now? I mean, shit, just a second ago, we thought we were kind of scrub. Faye let out a sigh.
There are all kinds of magic in the universe, you know? For you to master demon magic, let alone fairy magic, that's a really cool talent.
So is fairy magic like better or something? I smiled, happy to know that I was being seen as talented. Something about hearing a demon telling me that I was talented when it wasn't my fiancé made me feel really special. Faye reached between us and brought out the bottle, popped the cork, and offered it to me.
Want some?
Is it just water? What is it?
A brew from where I was born. Salafion. It's good, I promise.
It's water. Sure. Might as well. I gently took the bottle from Faye and lifted it to my lips, taking a sip and being surprised at the taste. If it was alcohol, it definitely didn't taste like it. A gorgeous mixture of berries and mineral water danced along my tongue, revealing a hint of some spice I couldn't recognize. It went down like water and spurred me to take a good swig before passing it to Faye, wiping my lip. What the fuck? Wow, that's amazing.
I know, right?
Did you make that shit? Faye cheering before lifting it up and chugging a good % of it down. We shared the bottle, only limited to that one bottle, and enjoyed the state of mild euphoria it gave us. As we sat back, we let out a simultaneous sigh.
You know, something's wrong with Diana.
What? There it was. I looked over at Faye to see them still gazing into the air, cheeks slightly pink from the drink they had, but they continued to speak naturally.
I have this thing, like, I can sense danger and stuff, and lately, Diana's been flaring up for me like no tomorrow, you know? Like, she's...
If you have this talent, why don't they use this more often? Like, this seems very useful. She's what?
Like she's turning into the Demon Lord or something.
What?
She's growing more, quick to make angry? Maybe.
I could tell that this was the reason why Faye needed to leave the castle. This concern was definitely one Faye needed to figure out, or at least vent about. Diana seemed to be close to them. Maybe that's what's happening to Matthew, too. I mean, maybe Diana's going through the same thing Matthew's going through, right? What do you think could have changed her?
I don't know. I mean, she's always kind of been I guess, passionate person. You know, since she hates the Demon Lord and stuff. But she's mostly been pretty nice and stuff until recently.
How recently? Really? She was nice even when you met her?
Really? Especially when I met her. I went to her after my entire clan was burned and, well, she kind of took me in and asked me to help her in the war.
Your entire clan was burned?
I was the first person besides for her guard to work with her.
What? Faye, why are you're like actually like really like up in the ranks apparently. What the fuck? That was an interesting story. While it was sad what happened to Faye's clan, they seemed to have moved on and were okay with where they were. Faye tilted back and lounged back on the blanket.
I've pretty much been there ever since the war started. I've never seen her get so angry and stuff. At least not to the point where she suddenly, poof, burst into flames.
So then I guess she must be good friends with her or something. At least I'd assume, you know what I'm saying? So she should maybe take her advice a bit more, I don't know. That does seem a bit odd. I became concerned for Diana too. Would she be okay? She was leading a large rebellion against a murderous psychopath, so it seemed to come with the job. But if Faye watched her and saw this change, then what could have sparked it? I shook my head and fell back on the sheet beneath us, as well, staring into the open sky. I couldn't spend my time thinking about it. I was out to relax with Faye, and they seemed to want to get off of the topic now that they had said their piece. We relaxed there, chatting away at random topics, until it was time to head back, practice a bit of what I knew, and separate for the night. Oh, so we did get some practice in. Okay, well, it was a nice day, you know, really productive, relaxing kind of. Hopefully, things would be settled soon. Alright, I quickly walked to my room, wanting to make it there before Matthew. As I turned the corner to the hall my room was in, however, a large number of shouts echoed.
Grab him! Don't let him get away!
Oh shit, random soldier?
Let go of me!
Oh no, you don't sound that pissed, bro. Again with no shirt. You just, all day, huh? I stared wide-eyed as your nipples are not that magnificent, just saying. I stared wide-eyed as guards rushed into my room and dragged Matthew out of it by his arms. I was even more surprised to see him slightly battered and covered in blood. What? Whoa! I took a step forward to rush in and see what was going on, but a hand stopped me and pulled me back. I looked over and stared as Sam gripped my shoulder, glaring ahead at his brother. Sam, what's going on?
Matthew did something really fucking stupid.
What did he do? Ripping Sam's hand from my shoulder, I turned around and glared, almost snarling in anger. What do you mean? What did he do? Sam looked at me, unfazed by my anger, and walked forward ahead of me, following the group of soldiers and Matthew down the hall. I did the same, now desperate to know what was going on. Oh! What is that? As we arrived in the Great Hall, Matthew was tossed into the center of the room, where Rabbit had constructed a large magic circle. As Matthew fell to his hands and knees on it, the circle activated and formed a large barrier around him. Oh my goodness! Frantic, this is what? It's got hurt my eyes. Frantic, Matthew rushed at the walls, slamming into them to hopefully be set free. He even formed multiple knives and tried to tear through the walls, only ending up with them ricocheting and landing on the floor.
Release me! No!
Matthew. I rushed forward trying to touch the barrier, but was forcefully pulled back by Irene and Odessa. I flailed in their arms, struggling against their hold, but became still as Diana entered the room with a large, bloody handkerchief in her hand. He hit her?
You come into my castle, eat my food, rest in my rooms, and have the utter gall to kill one of my guards and try to steal war plans?
Are you shittling me? What is that? No, it couldn't have been. I stared at Matthew as he locked eyes with Diana, sneering and pressing up against the barrier.
Well, well, well. If it isn't the Queen of the Rebellion. I gotta tell you, you look like crap after all these years.
Damn! What? What's going on? That's craziness, first of all. Second of all, what's happening? Alright, you were kind of cool this morning. Diana's face remained stone cold as she passed the handkerchief to one of the nearby guards and stepped forward, pressing her hand to the barrier.
Lux.
Oh shit! On her word, the barrier suddenly began to brighten with lightning, shocking Matthew within it. Damn. Matthew, no! Jeez, I began to struggle more, wanting this to stop. Soon enough, it did, as Diana pulled her hand away from the barrier and glared into Matthew. Glared into it. Matthew, having been electrocuted, fell to his hands and knees, panting wildly.
I can smell you, Demon Lord.
Oh no! I froze. The Demon Lord, he was behind this? I thought it was his mother, but the Demon Lord. I looked back at Matthew, seeing him chuckle despite being in utter pain.
You figured me out, huh? You may have locked me away in my castle, but my bond to my blood is unbreakable.
But why Matthew? Matthew pounced off of the ground and slammed into the barrier wall, grinning from ear to ear at Diana.
And when you come, I will be ready. I know all of your little plans.
Oh.
We'll make sure that I completely destroy your precious army, one pathetic soldier at a time.
Shit, we need to change.
I'll make Zakang my heir, and finally take over the rest of this godforsaken plane, for good.
Damn it. I'm assuming Zakero is him. This time, however, Diana smirked and tapped the barrier between Matthew's eyes, her irises brightening to a sadistic gold color.
And this is where you fail in war, Demon Lord. Who said we ever wrote anything down about our plans?
Oh, get shit on. Matthew stared astonished at Diana before snarling madly.
You're lying!
Test me, mongrel. I will prove it on the day we lay siege upon your pathetic castle and dominate your puny army.
Damn. Despite how twisted the situation was, the rebel leaders and guards in the room began to nod and smirk at Matthew in agreement with Diana's words. Diana, however, pressed her face against the barrier.
And I swear to you, this war will end with you dying by the hands of a succubus.
Oh, get shittied. The guards around Diana cheered as Matthew continued to glare hard at Diana, clawing at the barrier wall to try and get to her to no avail. Diana straightened back up and scoffed.
As for your son, we'll need to do a little surgery.
Surgery? I pulled at Irene and Irides's hand, staring at Diana like she was a madwoman. Surgery? What the hell did she mean? With another word, Diana placed her hand on the barrier and sent another wave of electric shocks into the barrier before Matthew finally passed out entirely. No! Jeez, man, you're just fucking shitting on him. At last, Iridessa and Irene released me, letting me rush forward and kneel at the barrier, pressing my hands against it and peering in to see Matthew lying unconscious on the floor. I looked up at Diana as she turned and glared at her. As she turned and glared at her. The heck? Why did you do that? Diana glared back at me before turning away from me, crossing her arms.
Why did you hide this from me?
No, I deserve an explanation. As Diana turned back to me at my explosion, I felt my body instantly freeze in fear underneath her sudden golden gaze.
And one of my men deserves not to be dead.
True.
Because of your little secrets, this boy managed to lose control to whatever has been possessing him and killed one of my top-ranking officers in order to find my decoy battle plans.
Damn. One of the top-ranking officers? Shit. I let it sink in. I mean, not that it wouldn't matter either way, but Matthew had killed someone? The influence on him really forced him to kill someone. I couldn't believe it. As Diana released me from her enthrallment, I buckled to my hands and knees, panting for air.
Was hiding this worth it? Was his precious pride truly worth the life of one of my men?
Damn. I shut my eyes, knowing how wrong the situation was. Matthew was trying. He was fighting to stop whatever was taking control of him. He needed to do it on his own. However, before I could think of speaking back, James and Sam stepped forward in front of me, blocking me from Diana.
Forgive him, Diana. He wasn't in control of himself.
And now you're defending him?
It's his brother, bro. What the fuck? I would be too.
Shut the fuck up. You don't understand what he's been through.
Damn, go at it, Sam. Shit.
And I don't care. One of my men is dead because of him.
I get it.
Controlled or not, it was his hands that took his life. No amount of pride can justify that.
What do you... That makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I get that he's dead. Like, that's terrible. Like, that's horrible, really. I feel bad for it, but it really wasn't him. You know what I'm saying? Like, his body, different mind. That doesn't make sense. It's like the Demon Lord... If the Demon Lord would have killed him, it would have been his fault, too. You know, it's his intention to do it. You know what I'm saying? The brothers silenced themselves as I took everything in. Matthew had killed someone. The brothers understood, and Diana had essentially been betrayed. Part of me screamed that this was all my fault. I didn't open my mouth to fix this. I didn't let anyone know what Matthew was going through. However, Matthew was desperate to do this himself, even though he failed in the end. Damn! Couldn't I have tried or something? To do something more? All I did was, like, not do anything. I lowered my head to the ground, gritting my teeth and trying to stop myself from crying. Carrie and Twyla rushed to my side, wrapping their arms over me in an attempt to comfort me, but I couldn't feel anything but despair for what was going on. Damn it. Technically not apologizing would be siding with Matthew, and people keep telling me to side with Matthew, but like, is this really a moment where it's a choice between siding with her or siding with Matthew? Let's apologize and see how it comes out. I feel like this is the wrong decision. I'm gonna save. Let me save real quick. Alright, let's go ahead and apologize and see what happens. In the end, this was entirely my fault. I didn't speak up when I should have, and now Matthew was in a cage of sorts, waiting to go through some sort of surgery to fix him. I gripped the ground and looked up at Diana, tears flowing from my eyes. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry for what happened. Everything was my bitch-ass fault. I began to break down, feeling Carrie and Twyla fully wrap their arms around me in an attempt to calm me down. Still, I felt horrid, disgusting. The death of one man was entirely because of my silence. Silence lingered in the room as Diana continued to bore her eyes into my soul. At last, Diana let out an irritated sigh. It's just a sigh.
Enough. We need to figure out how to break this hold the Demon Lord has on him.
Wait. Everyone in the room seemed to agree. I rubbed my face and slowly stood up, agreeing as well, and now ready to fix what had happened. Let's go back and see what the other choice would have been. Alright, we're not going to apologize. Let's see what happens. Despite everything, however, it was my choice. I trusted Matthew, and I wanted to help him in any way I could. He was the man I loved, and if I didn't trust him, then I truly couldn't deserve his love. I think that's the better choice. Now that I hear what she said about it, it sounds like she's siding with him. So I'm gonna go with that. I gripped the ground and glared up once more at Diana, seeing her stare down at me in expectancy. I'm sorry for what happened. Oh, but I am not sorry for hiding it. Get shit on. I'll do your line for you because you seem a bit scrubbed on. I felt her glare slightly at me, but I felt the feeling roll off my back. I hid it because I loved him and believed in him. This was a terrible circumstance, but I had to try and believe him. Matthew wanted to be self-reliant. He wanted to stop having his brothers come and rescue him, and if you can't see why he needed to do that, then you need to open your eyes. Silence lingered in the room as Diana continued to bore her eyes into my soul. At last, Diana let out an irritated... Either way, she just doesn't give a rat's ass.
Enough. We need to figure out how to break this hold the Demon Lord has on him.
Everyone in the room seemed to agree. These people, everyone is very easy to manipulate. I rubbed my face and slowly stood, agreeing as well and now ready to fix what had happened. Diana looked to the guards over her shoulder and barked orders.
A chair, a bucket of sweet flowers, and a knife.
You just need to be smelling some nice shit while you're just slicing them open? The soldiers nodded and saluted their queen before rushing off. Diana shook her head and placed her hand on the barrier.
What on earth could have made the control so strong?
Maybe because we kept giving him energy? I don't know.
His mother.
Everyone looked at Damien, seeing him look intensely at his fallen brother with worry.
I can hear her voice, pleading with him to wake up. She keeps apologizing for making him do what he did.
So his mother is to blame?
No. The Demon Lord is still the one who made him do what he did.
See?
The mother was a weakness of his, and only amplified his control.
You just acknowledge that the mom is what made him do it. It's not his fault. Dinah sneered at Matthew's unconscious body as the soldiers from before rushed in and placed the chair beside her and the bucket beside it. Dinah slowly sat down and crossed her legs, holding out her hand and feeling a knife being placed into it by a third guard.
We need to figure out how to block his mind from the Demon Lord's control. Once we do that, we can try to dispel it, while the Demon Lord's power isn't using Matthew's energy.
Taking a purple peach-shaped fruit from the large basket, Dinah began to peel it and slice it open, revealing a black center. However, her focus remained on Matthew.
It will take me some time, but I think I can manage it.
Are you sure?
I am. Everyone may go and sleep.
What? This isn't safe. Everyone slowly nodded and began to leave the room. I, however, stood still, not wanting to leave Matthew alone. As Dinah noticed me, she glared softly.
Go to your room and rest.
Damn!
I will call you if something happens.
Her words were venomous, warning me from the thin line I was walking across. As she placed a fruit slice in her mouth, I conceded defeat and left the room, staring at Matthew in utter worry before I exited. That night, I slept alone. Shit. I was filled with different emotions: worry, sadness, anger, betrayal, horror. Everything mixed and danced within me as I let out a heavy sigh. This would be a long night. I was barely able to eat or leave my room for the following 2 days. I stayed in my room trying to calm down and take everything in. Matthew was a prisoner, and Dinah had to pull the control out of him somehow. How she was going to do that, I couldn't be sure, but I was certain that it was going to be a large challenge, especially since the Demon Lord was involved. The other wives visited me, helping me eat and go through what I had trained. However, my mind focused on Matthew. I was worried sick for him. I wanted him to be free, and I wanted him to be okay. I knew that this wasn't the case for the moment, but I knew that it had to happen eventually. After all, we were a day away from marching to the siege. I gripped my hair and closed my eyes, trying to remember if there was anything I did to help stop the control. I was there for him, but it slowly dawned on me. I was there for him. His love for me was what kept him focused. I was there each time he lost control, and I managed to bring him down from that. It was something, a risky something, but something nonetheless. Wow, we're gonna go there anyway. I rushed out of the room and into the grand hall, seeing Diana continue to stare into the barrier. Inside, however, was Matthew, sitting cross-legged and smirking at Diana. Matthew. Diana and Matthew looked over at me, surprised to see me enter.
Human, what are you?
I ignored Diana and continued forward, standing in front of the barrier, and stared into Matthew's eyes. Matthew, it's me. Wake up and get a hold of yourself. If this works, dude. Matthew stared in shock at me before smirking and crawling over with a pout.
Aw, is the little human upset that she can't get fucked by her incubus?
Well, that's not the reason at all. I had to ignore him. The Demon Lord was taunting me, tempting me to get angry. Still, I concentrated on Matthew's eyes, knowing Matthew was in there, somewhere. Matthew, I know you're there. You can fight this. I know you can. You keep losing your breath, bro. I could see a small glimmer in Matthew's eyes, proving that I was right. I smiled and pressed my hands against the walls of the barrier, trying to press myself against the magic blocking Matthew from me. Listen to me. You can stop this. You can do this yourself. I began to fill with hope. Despite my words also reaching the Demon Lord, Matthew was also listening, and I could only hope that my love was fueling his need to stop his father's control. The barrier beneath my hands slowly began to de-solidify as my body slowly pressed into the wall and suddenly barrel rolled inside. This is not good.
No!
Oh shit, we're about to get hopefully not crossed off. This might be what people were talking about. And like if you don't side with him enough, you just get literally shredded inside this little bubble. At least I'm assuming that's what could happen. I looked up, finding myself inside the barrier somehow, looking around and seeing Matthew staring at me intensely. I gulped, knowing that the Demon Lord was still there, running Matthew's every moment. Yeah, every word that ran from his lips. Still, I believed in him. I slowly stood up and walked over, opening my arms for him. Matthew, I love you, and I'm here for you. Please, break through this and come back to me. Everyone's losing their breath today. I'll have to freaking, I'll have to say your lines. It's my job. Slowly, Matthew walked forward, shakily reaching out his hand for me. I could see the desperation in his eyes as he tried to listen. Yes, that was it. I walked forward and held his hands before feeling them slide up to my cheeks, warming my face with his palms. Don't snap my neck, please.
You.
No, don't snap my neck. For a moment, a glimmer of his blue eyes filled my heart with joy. I gripped his hands, desperate for him to hang on and fight. Finally, Matthew gritted his teeth and released my face, gripping his head. Yes! Is this are you overcoming?
Get out of my head!
Matthew! I rushed over, wrapping my arm around his back as Matthew sank to his knees, digging his fingers into his hair. I could hear Diana trying to see what was going on, but my body managed to block her view. Matthew looked up at the wall and snarled.
Get out!
Woo! Damn, Matthew shouted at the sky, arching back and releasing a large red wave of energy from his body. It zipped into the air and broke free of the barrier, circling over the ceiling like a thundercloud. That's him! Capture his ass! In quick response, Diana pointed her hands out and formed a large purple orb in her hand before tossing it at the energy, capturing it in another cage and letting it hit the ground locked inside. Is that his soul? Or is that like just part of his energy? Because that's good, we just permanently trap it. My focus, however, was on Matthew. He panted and coughed, clasping over his neck and chest in pain as he shut his eyes tightly. I barely noticed the sound of Matthew's brothers and their wives running in to see what had happened. I lifted Matthew in my arms and caught his eyes as he opened them, seeing the man I loved once again back in my arms. Matthew? After all that, we just get shredded anyway. Matthew very slowly let a grin run across his face as he lifted a hand and cupped my cheek.
Hey, beautiful.
Well, I'm glad that's the case, because I really didn't want to get absolutely dominated. There's no way out of this, and I'm sure that the barrier would not be purple anymore. My breath hitched as I quickly fell over and wrapped my arms around Matthew, uncaring that the barrier around us was slowly being dispelled by Diana. Matthew wrapped his arms around my form, hugging me tightly and kissing over my neck. Now wait, hold on a second, I'm just realizing something. And I don't remember if Faye did, but if Faye could have sensed that something was wrong, or if she could have sensed danger, why didn't she sense anything in Matthew? It was all about Diana. Like, what, are your powers, like, directed at very specific things? What the fuck?
Thank you.
You're welcome. The moment seemed to last forever. A private world with me and Matthew in each other's arms, just desperate not to let go. However, Diana's voice caused us to slowly separate and look up at her.
Not that I care that I'm breaking this moment apart.
Damn!
We have more important things to do than this.
Diana. Diana rolled her eyes and took up the orb that held the Demon Lord's control energy, staring into it with a piercing gaze.
I will take care of this. But I'm positive that this is not all of it. After all, he did control you enough to kill.
I felt myself slump over. She really wasn't gonna forgive him, but she was right. The Demon Lord's control was ultra powerful. Who knew how much control he really had? Diana sighed and willed the orb away into the air before looking to us.
Well then, I've spent enough time fixing this. Now I must prepare for a war. Excuse me.
Diana nodded to us and left without another word. Matthew, however, grinned at me and nuzzled my forehead.
I guess I really did need saving after
No, you
all.
did it. You did it. I just helped, but you did it. I shook my head, knowing that was not true. I was there to help, not there to save. I kissed Matthew's cheek and smiled. I only helped you do it on your own. You broke his control over you, not me. We chuckled for each other, slowly standing and happy to be in each other's arms at last. James, however, stepped forward and with a frown, causing Matthew to release me.
Matthew, I apologize for not being a proper brother for you and treating you with the respect you deserved. I would never want you to not trust me or the others.
What? Apologetic moments? In agreement, the other brothers stepped up and nodded, ashamed as well. Matthew stared at all of them in shock before kissing my cheek and stepping towards them.
Hey. You're my brothers. We're supposed to support and protect each other, right?
All five of them smiled at each other as I felt myself needing to rest once more. I held the wall slightly maintaining my balance as I shook my head and looked up at the brothers, seeing them happily rekindle the brotherly love they had before. I looked to the wives, winking. What? Before sneaking out. Matthew needed some time with his brothers to settle some differences. I would wait for him in the room. I began to make my way back to the room, but stopped as I heard the sound of whispering voices sneak out through a barely opened door. Again with this?
So, we're all in agreement?
Again! Rabbit!
We have to. We don't have any choice anymore.
This plan again?
It will be for the better, I'm sure.
I haven't seen you all series, Sergeant. You gonna be scratching your cheeks again?
Indeed.
Same with you. I usually have been banging that other frickin' assassin on that desk. I was so engrossed in figuring out what was happening in the room that I didn't notice a figure coming up behind me and pushing me into the room.
Hey, boss. I have something for you.
Eternal Aegis, I thought we had something special!
Huh? Ah, shit.
Look. Okay. I was admiring Shadow's, not Shadow, fucking Sergeant's ass, okay? That's all. His abs are pretty, legit. So, that's all, okay? That's all I was doing.
Look, it's not like I want to, okay?
Alright, so basically it was the same conversation from before, right? But now I don't remember her singling out, so I think this is what's different here. I looked to Faye, confused. They twiddled their thumbs as they looked at their fellow demons.
The Demon Lord is a bad guy, and we just don't want another demon like him. And Diana's a very, very powerful succubus, you know?
How do you plan to assassinate her then? Just saying. What does that have to do with anything? Faye sighed and rustled their hair.
Well, she's mega powerful and stuff. If she goes mad and takes over the world, we'd be screwed, you know? She can enthrall armies and stuff with just a snap of her fingers. Who knows what kind of damage she could do if she went crazy?
She does kind of wait. Why? You need an army, first of all. But when you get to the battlefield, why not just enthrall the Demon Lord's army and just turn him against him right there, and then he has no one but himself? Sounds like a much better plan than what we're going through.
I really don't care what happens after. I just don't want my people killed because of her stupid leadership.
Jeez. I could tell that Faye was trying to be sensible about the issue, but in her eyes, I could see the fear of the situation. She was probably the only one who believed in her cause that Dinah was mad, or at least in danger of becoming so. Alright, so I guess that was her little special segment.
I'm curious, human. Do you believe in the succubus?
Okay, just for the sake of seeing what happens, okay, because I know, 100% we know before, that unless the game, messed up again like it did in the previous one where it said Diana was, alive or something like that, or Sarah was alive. Remember how it did that? If you watched a little while ago, in, the ending credits, explaining what happened after the war. As long as it didn't do that again in the previous one, where it said that all these leaders took over and everything was hunky-dory, as far as I know, she didn't die at the end of that. She didn't die at the end of that. She went on to lead, I think, and everything was cool. You know what I'm saying? Is I think what happened. So just for the sake of seeing what happens, I'm not going to side with her this time. Because they're probably not going to erase my memory, and we can get a slightly different viewpoint of what happens. Don't get upset. It's not what I normally would have chosen, obviously. But I want to see what happens just for the sake of a little bit of variety. Okay, it's definitely basically just going over what Diana means to us and all that stuff. And what's going on around. So I'm going to say I believe in you all. How about that? They were right. She was very powerful, and if she was truly corrupted, then she needed to be cut off before she caused any damage. And that's not what that I believe in you all means. I believe in you all. There was another scenario where you guys went on to lead the world after she died. That's what I mean by that. Thoughts of revenge bubbled in my mind, reminding me of how horrible she had been in the human world. What? When she had tried to take the boys away from me. She had the gall to take my energy and test me at school as some sort of sadistic teacher. She had this coming to her. Are you shitting? Dude, this choice is definitely for someone that held a grudge since the first game. Because holy crap. The four in the room stared at me, taking in my reply. I'm probably going to die from this, to be honest.
I'm fairly shocked.
Well, now what do we do with her?
I waited as the group looked to each other before Faye magically formed a small vial in their hand.
Should we give it to her? She's close enough to her.
They're gonna have me do it? No fucking way. Give what? Faye ignored me and passed the vial to Shadow. He began to imbue it with his own dark magic. Slowly, the glass began to fill with a dark, inky liquid. Gross. Stopping a quarter of the way up. Was it poison? Shadow passed it to Rabbit, who did the same, creating a purple liquid within the vial and swirling it around and mixed the liquids together. The contents separated a bit, causing a strangely beautiful gradient effect. As Sergeant took a hold of it, it began to fill with green liquid. Ew. This is people just fucking filling up their bodily fluids into this vial. He's just pouring snot into that shit. Becoming mixed with the poison already within the vial. Finally, Faye took the vial back and shoved a cork on top before shaking the mixture violently. As they did, a strange gray energy began to glow around it, pulsing like a heartbeat and slowing until it eventually faded away.
There.
From the tone of their voice, the decision to truly go through with this was solidified. They were all serious in wanting Dinah to die. I felt a little pity for what was to come. Faye turned and floated to me, holding out the vial.
We were gonna give this to her during the final celebration after the siege, but we're pretty sure that guard will be watching her like a hawk.
Then why give it to me?
Because she trusts you. I have a theory that she'll pull you aside, away from everyone else, to have a little chat before you're sent back to the human world.
Dude, that little chat where we had got our the crown from her each and every time? That was such a nice moment. We're gonna ruin it with some poisiones? How can you be so sure? Shadow smirked.
Because when we tried to send you home, she tried to slip in an extra item onto the spell reagent list. And according to my recent studies, it is actually very important to demons like her. I suspect that she was going to give it to you as a gift.
Since the gate spell didn't work, she probably took the time to find it herself. She'll take you aside and give it to you before you leave, which will give you the chance to be alone with her.
Still, they even know this is gonna happen. That's so dastardly. I was surprised. Dinah was going to give me something important. I was curious as to what it was, but my thoughts trailed off as I stared at Faye's hands, which were still holding the vial of poison.
I guess it was a good thing you listened in then. Makes our job a bit easier.
Dick. I slowly reached out and took the vial, feeling a very subtle heartbeat emit from it. It took every ounce of will I had to not drop it in surprise. Was this thing alive? I brought it close and examined it, practically feeling its power. If Diana was as powerful as they expected, then how powerful was this poison? I was paying such close attention to the vial in my hand that I didn't see Faye swooping back behind me and grabbing my head. What the?
Sorry.
What are you gonna do? And all at once, my mind began to become fuzzy and light. What was happening to me?
Is that really necessary?
It will lower the risk of her telling anyone about our plans until the chance arises. When it does, she'll remember everything and know what to do.
I would forget about this? How did this make sense? I didn't get a chance to fight back until my vision blacked out. Damn it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for us today. We're going to pick up somewhere around here next time, but what I want you to do is in the comments, let me know whether you want me to go with my previous choice or go with the one I currently am on, because I can very easily change it, but the reason I chose this, because I obviously don't want this to happen, like I really don't want it to happen, but you know, I'm doing it for the sake of variety, just to see something slightly different, because we're kind of heading towards the same end almost nearly every time. The battles are sometimes slightly different, but that's about it. So I want as much variety in this playthrough as possible, because we're moving on to Damien, which I think is going to be pretty interesting, because I think he's the only one that's like actually a human. So that's going to be kind of crazy. And then we're moving on to Diana, which is totally different, which I think will be pretty cool. So I'm actually really excited to get to those. You know, I'll have you guys drop your votes for next time at the end of the playthrough. But in this one, I want you to vote. Do you want to see the variety of it and just have me go along with this, or should I just go back and do the other choice? You know, we already saw what happens with the other one, so just let me know what you want, and I'll go with it. Either way, we're going to see this at some point, because I really do want to go back and see like all the different choices if we can. I'd probably do it like on stream or something, because it would probably take quite a while. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Again, don't forget to enter the giveaway, because we will be doing that towards the end. Hopefully we can finish Matthew's playthrough next time so we can move on to the following one, but make sure you drop your re-entries and entries, because again, each new video is a new entry opportunity. The giveaway is still going. We still have codes to give away each and every playthrough. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. Definitely make sure you rate the video what you think it deserved. If you did enjoy, please consider sharing the video as well. That kind of stuff really helps me out a lot, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or any social media really, or even word of mouth with your friends. That's really awesome too. Of course, it directly helps me as well as the entire community and is greatly appreciated. So with that being said, if you want to become a sage in training, make sure you subscribe today. And as always, this has been Mr. Basie, your favorite sage, and I'll see you in the next video.